This show is brought to you in part by viewers like you who joined a Patreon or become YouTube members. Thank you. And if you could, hit the like button and subscribe if you want more Browns-focused content.
I have no idea what to name this video, right? Sometimes I come up with topics that I think are going to be fun videos to make, entertaining videos, but man, I have no idea how to make y'all click on this shit. So forgive me. Forgive me if the thumbnail to this video is shameless. I don't know. I haven't made of it yet. I have no idea what I want to call this video, but the basic concept of today's topic in this video is this. Every year, there are players that people get excited about during camp, or certain lines of messaging that people get really attached to during camp. And then the season comes around and a lot of people are asking about that player. A lot of people are asking what happened to the fact that the Browns were saying that they were going to switch to this kind of offense, right? Like every year that happens. So what I want to do is try to predict those things based on what we're hearing messaging wise, what people are kind of hinting towards, people looking like in camp, and kind of guess what some of the oddball kind of stuff is going to be with this 2025 Browns team. It's not the most serious video in the world, but it's the off season, and I think this is a fun topic because we always have these things pop up, right? Every year, the Browns come up with a focus during camp, and sometimes you can see that focus. Sometimes they say, we're going to be this kind of team, and then they throw the ball 800 times, and you're just caught off guard by that, right? Like, every team does this. Every team kind of over messages on one thing and then pivots like at the last minute. Like it happens all the time. So it's not really an indicator whether the team's going to be good or not. It's just stuff that goes down every year that people kind of get dead, like their heart set on happening or looking a certain way that just doesn't look that way. If you have a better idea for how to title this video in the comments, please leave it in the comment section down below. I always appreciate your suggestions. Now, the first, I guess, kind of oddball Browns prediction I have is that the Browns will run the ball a normal amount of times and nobody's going to be happy about it. Not because the Browns run game isn't going to be like much better than it was last year. It's just always going to feel like the Browns aren't running the ball enough, right? Like I think that's always a constant with fans in running the ball. Like you never run the ball enough. Baltimore runs the ball like 600 times a season, and like even you'll hear Baltimore fans complain about the fact that the Ravens don't run the ball enough. There's always like a caveat you could throw. Yeah, we run the ball a lot, but it's really just Lamar. We need to run the ball more with this guy or that guy. I feel like we're going to have one of those years because one, I don't know if the Browns are going to get the 500 carries with what they have on the roster. Right now they have two rookies, Pierre Strong, which is not really anything, and then Jerome Ford, right? Jerome Ford is a 100-carry guy. Quincy Junkins, he's a rookie, but he's a second-round pick, so I can see him getting to about 200 carries pretty easily. Dylan Sampson is the wild card here. I have no idea what Dylan Sampson's going to look like in the NFL. I don't think anybody does. And there's a lot of carries kind of carved out for him, right? Like we just looked at it, 200 carries definitely for Quincy, 100 carries definitely for Jerome Ford. It's been proven that you don't want to give Jerome Ford less than 100 carries, and you don't want to give Jerome Ford more than 100 carries. So I think 100's a pretty strong prediction for him, right? So that's about 300 carries, give or take 50, right? For those two running backs. And we're trying to get to like 500. So like Dylan Sampson realistically has to fill in the rest of that gap. And the truth is he's a rookie. He's not prototypical size like Quincy Junkins. He's not a prototypical athlete like Quincy Junkins. So you can't necessarily just say, hey, let's give him 200 carries too, because yeah, Quincy, look at that guy. That guy can handle 200. He's 235 pounds. He's big, strong, super fast. Okay, it's not really going to be shocking if he runs the ball 200, 250 times this upcoming season. Dylan Sampson, on the other hand, bit of a more slight build. Seems like he's going to be used more as a third down back in conjunction with Jerome Ford. And it just makes me wonder, like, where are going to be the real opportunities for him to split carries? Is he going to be in there and like strong sets and with a fullback out there, or at least an H-back out there, something like that? Like, is he going to take the carries out of any other formation than shotgun because he hasn't really done that before? Like, how are we planning to get Dylan Sampson 150 to 180 rushing attempts? And how are we just like accounting for that? So all of that makes me feel like the Browns would get to about 450, 460 rushing attempts this year. They don't have a mobile quarterback that can help inflate those numbers. They don't have a established bell cow. They hope that Quinshawn is a bell cow, but he's not an established bell cow. Obviously, if Quinshawn proves he's a 300 carry back, that changes everything. But don't have that established bell cow yet. I think it's going to be very hard for this team to get to 500 carries with solid efficiency, right? Like, you could get there if you just brute force it, but if you're trying to get to 500 with solid efficiency, I mean, it was hard for the Browns to get to 500 carries with solid efficiency with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. So I imagine it's going to be very difficult to do it with two rookies, especially with the offensive line that's not in its prime like it was when Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb were in their primes, right? Like, you just had everything going your way, and still this team, while being in the top 5 of rushing attempts every year, was only getting like 500 carries. Well, not only, was getting to like 500 carries and sometimes a little bit under 500 carries. So I think they're going to fall at least 50 rushing attempts short of that number. And because they're going to be like 8th or 9th in rushing attempts instead of like 1 or 2, like a lot of people are expecting, I feel like people are going to be upset about that. Right? I think people are going to feel like the Browns told us all year that they're going to run the ball every play, and then it doesn't feel like they're running the ball every play because they're doing more of a 50-50, 55-45 split when it comes to pass and run. Also, think about it like this. Look at the best players on the Browns offense and look what you have to do to get them the ball. The best players on the Browns offense are Jerry Jeudy and David Njoku. Those are your 2 Pro Bowlers that you have on the roster right now. Both of those guys require you to throw the ball to them. So you're telling me that an offense with its 2 best players in the passing game is going to run the ball more than they throw it? I don't believe it. I know they're trying to get back to ground and pound football. I think there's ways to play ground and pound football while still throwing the football a lot. And I think sometimes ground and pound football requires that you throw the ball a lot more than people are expecting. But this idea that the Browns are just going to be a completely Woody Hayes, Jim Tressel, 3 yards in a cloud of dust offense, I just don't believe that's going to happen. I don't think that the Browns even have it remotely in place to make that go down. And I think that's a lot of people's expectation, which is why this is my first oddball prediction, is that the Browns will run the ball a normal amount of times and nobody's going to really be happy about it, right? People are going to complain, say that the Browns reneged on running the ball a lot. You're going to see all kind of hot takes out there. But in reality, they are going to run the ball as much as it was reasonable to expect them to. And if you look at this roster, 450 rushing attempts is about as most as I can expect for this, unless Quinshawn emerges as one of the top running backs in the NFL, or Dylan Sampson also emerges as one of the top. Like, if you get Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb out of those 2, then it becomes more feasible. But just projecting them like you would project a normal set of rookies drafted where they were, feels really hard to get to 450 carries with decent efficiency, over 450 carries with decent efficiency. So I don't think the Browns are going to run the ball even close to the amount that people are imagining in their heads. I think the number will be closer to 400 than 500. All right. And they kind of ran the ball, 400 something times last year? I think the number's going to be much closer to last year than people are expecting. Anyways, next one. The next thing that I think people are going to be complaining about all year, and I don't think this one's going to be justified. This is going to be one of those things where I spend all year telling people they're crazy for being mad at this. It's going to be Harold Fannin Jr. Because the way people are talking about Harold Fannin Jr., if he does not get 800 yards this year, people are going to act like it's a failure. Like, Harold Fannin Jr. will get 300 or 400 yards with 3 touchdowns, and everybody's going to act like that's a failure when it's not. It's what I hope he does in his rookie year. Right? I think we're at the point with internally. Now, this might not have hit people in a mainstream sense with the Cleveland Browns yet, but I see all the buds in place to make it a mainstream hype train, right? Harold Fain is going to look incredible at training camp. He's looked incredible during mini camp. He's looked incredible during OTAs. He's probably going to take a lot of targets from the third and fourth string quarterbacks, which are the rookie quarterbacks, which is where most of the eyeballs are for this Cleveland Browns team. So, yes, Harold won't be taking a ton of first team reps. That'll be David Njoku most of the time. Maybe they do some twin tight end stuff. Where you're going to see Harold more is where more people are paying attention. So you're going to see him in a lot of Shador clips. You're going to see him in a lot of Dylan Gabriel clips. You're going to see him in a lot of Kenny Pickett clips. You're going to see him in all these clips. He's going to look pretty good. He's going to have some spectacular moments. He is somebody who I think is going to destroy guys in the preseason and put up some pretty incredible numbers in the preseason because he's a real physical downhill runner. And I don't think guys like that are ready. Guys are ready for contact in the preseason. I think Harold will be ready for it. And he's known to rise to occasions, right, in his college football career. Just look how he played against Power 5 opponents while at Bowling Green. So I see all the pieces in place for us to be super over the moon about Harold Fain Jr. We're like, oh, do we need to trade David Njoku? Like, I think we're going to have all these goofy conversations about it. And at the end of the day, it's going to result in like 400 yards for Harold Fain as tight end too. And people are going to be disappointed by this. This is 100% going to be a factor of the media raising expectations higher than they ever really were and people being disappointed with something that was never going to happen, right? Like that happens so much in our modern media landscape because, you know, there's a lot of incentive in hyping things up or tearing things down and not really a lot of incentive in just telling things like they are, right? Like just like, I like this, but this is also a problem. People get mad when you bring up any criticism nowadays. I sound old. Let me stop. But yeah, I think this is going to be a key example of that, man. I'm going to be out here losing my mind because people are going to be acting like Harold Fain is a failure because the Browns are screwing Harold Fain Jr. over by not putting him in the offense more. I'm going to get so many Q&A questions about Harold Fain Jr. this year. I am absolutely predicting that to happen. Number 3. This one, I think everybody's going to agree with me that's reasonable. No matter how the Cleveland Browns handle Shador Sanders, everybody will claim that the Browns are doing it wrong. It don't matter if they're doing right by Shador. It don't matter if they're doing wrong by him. They will be wrong in the eyes of most people. It's obviously at play right now. There are credible people out here mad that Shador's not getting first team reps. That's insane. It's OTAs. No rookie gets first team reps in OTAs if they're not like the top pick of the draft or like the team is just completely decimated at the position and has nobody they can even act like is going to be the starter. Like Baker Mayfield, I don't think took first team reps until like midway through training camp. He was the number 1 overall selection. Think about that. They made Baker earn the backup job. Let me be clear when I say that. Hugh Jackson made Baker earn the backup job when he was the number 1 overall selection. Think about that. Now, I'm not saying the Browns need to go that far or do something goofy like, award somebody the backup job. That's really stupid. But I do think the Browns are probably not going to rush this, right? This doesn't seem like a front office and a head coach that loves rushing stuff. They've never done it. So I don't know why they would start now. And also, I don't think it's the right thing to do. And I think the Browns aren't going to rush this. People are going to be furious about it. Reasonable fans or fans who are normally reasonable are going to get so caught up in wanting to see Shador Sanders play that they're even going to get wrapped up into this. And I think Shador not playing in the first 6 weeks is probably what's best for him. But I think no matter how the Browns handle this, right? Because if the Browns put him out week 1 and Shador gets blown up by a schedule that includes some of the toughest teams in the NFL back-to-back weeks. And don't be surprised, by the way, once training camp starts, if you start to see like Dan Orlovsky's of the world or like the more reasonable people who have been like, Shador needs to start week 1, start to backpedal on that because they finally took a look at the Cleveland Browns schedule. Like, I'm early on this simply because I've taken the time out to look at the schedule and say, hey, y'all, do y'all really want him to start week 1? Because when I brought that up, there were a lot of people who've been commenting like Sanders needs to start week 1. in that video that then commented, hey man, I kind of understand if we don't start Sanders the first month and a half, because everybody's just talking without looking at the damn schedule right now. Once these guys have to look at the schedule, they're gonna go, oh my God, no, he cannot play week one. And you're gonna start to see that pivot happen probably halfway through August, right? If my tell on how this stuff usually works goes down. But yeah, like it's gonna happen where people are gonna finally look at the schedule and come to earth about like what the reality is about playing through that chunk of the schedule. And that it's probably not good for him to play through that chunk. But if the Browns said, no, let's do what everybody wants us to do, start Shedeur Sanders right now, they would be deemed as a dysfunctional organization that caved the fan hype, and people would dunk on them and shit on them like they didn't ask the Browns to move Shedeur to the number one spot automatically. If the Browns wait on this, people are going to spend the whole 6 weeks that he's not starting complaining about him not starting. If the Browns do some kind of weird half measure where they haven't played 3 weeks, people are like, well, why didn't you just wait to the bye week if that was the plan? Like, people are going to complain about anything the Browns do when it comes to handling Shedeur Sanders. Unless Shedeur comes out there and looks transformative to the point to where nobody is fixated on how he's being handled and it's just about how amazing Shedeur looks on the field. Outside of that, and that's probably not likely. It's not likely. The odds are that the Browns are going to be in a situation where Shedeur's going to have to play. He might struggle at first, and people are going to blame those struggles on everything other than like, hey, man, Shedeur's just a rookie. Like, he just doesn't look good because he's a rookie. And this is what rookies usually look like, right? We're just so far out of reality with what people are expecting out of rookies these days. And the truth is, Shedeur's probably going to look like a rookie. And that's okay. That's okay. I'm completely fine with it. I'm not going to give up on Shedeur Sanders because he looks like a rookie. I'm saying this now, so when people start saying this in a month or two, it doesn't feel like I'm pivoting. I've been saying this since March. But yeah, man, the Browns will always be wrong about how they handle Shedeur, and it's going to make no sense. It's going to be one of the stupidest things I'm going to have to cover this year. I'm pretty sure of it. Number 4, I expect people to be pretty premature on Mason Graham. I think people are going to act like Mason Graham, no matter what he does this year, is going to be good enough. Kind of a similar thing to Shedeur. But like, people are just so mad about the fact that we did not get Travis Hunter. You have to also think about it. A lot of the people who are into the Browns this season are also into Shedeur. And they would have loved to see the Browns have Shedeur and Travis Hunter on the team. So the better Travis Hunter looks, the more people are reminded that the Browns traded that pick, and the more they're going to be concerned trolling about Mason Graham. The reality with Mason Graham is he's a rookie defensive tackle. And rookie defensive tackles, or at least defensive tackles, that's one of those positions where the adjustment period for a guy is a little bit longer than it is for other positions, because it just takes a while to get used to the physicality of the NFL. I don't have high expectations for rookie offensive linemen. I don't have high expectations for rookie defensive linemen for a good reason, right? Unless you're like Myles Garrett, right? And you're just physically so ready that it doesn't matter. But most guys, I expect an adjustment period. Your body has to catch up. It's a different game. I kind of just expect that you just not be a disaster. As long as you're not a disaster in year one, I'm fine with it. And I think those are reasonable expectations for Mason Graham. But because you traded the, Travis Hunter pick, because he's a top 5 pick, I think that leaves a lot of room for people to concern troll, be premature, and straight up disingenuous about how Mason Graham looks. Also, he plays defensive tackle, and this is just coming from experience. If there are like 3 positions where I think online fans really have no clue how to diagnose the play of, it will be number 1, safety. I think people just don't have any clue about what's going on with the safety position. Most of the time, people complain about it. Number 2, offensive lineman, and then number 3, defensive lineman. Like, the amount of times I've seen people post wins from offensive linemen as if they're losses, or losses from an offensive line perspective as if they're wins, and then vice versa for defensive linemen on like Twitter or YouTube or just anywhere. It's too many to count. And I'm not saying like I'm the best expert of all of this stuff, but I am willing to listen to people who are, experts, right? Like if when Mitchell Schwartz comes out and tells you that clip's not a good clip, I'm gonna listen to what Mitchell Schwartz says and try to understand why he's saying that, and also give him a little bit more benefit of the doubt than I'm gonna give the ML football fucking Twitter page, right? Like, I'm willing to listen to people who know what they're talking about a specific subject, right? And that's all I'm saying is I feel like defensive tackle, that's one of those positions where people have to correct the record a lot. Same with offensive linemen and safety play. Safety play is the most egregious, and like even like people on football teams that you would think have like the requisite experience to be able to judge this stuff sometimes miss a lot because safety play is just so specific to whatever year and scheme that team's running and what they're trying to get done that week. But either way, I expect people to be pretty premature about Mason Graham and people to act like the Mason Graham pick's a failure the second a fun clip of Travis Hunter emerges from the regular season. People are going to use that as well. Oh, we lost the trade. We got Julio Jones. Immediately, it's going to be one of the more annoying things. Maybe I should have called this video things I know Browns fans are going to piss me off with during the course of the season. But I don't think YouTube's going to push that title because that's basically what this is becoming, is me predicting things that I know I'm going to be like annoyed with during the season. This is something I won't be annoyed with. This is my 5th prediction. The 2026 draft class by December, we will know has at least 2 top-tier quarterback prospects. And when I say top tier, I'm not saying 2 guys who will go in the first round like we had last year. I'm talking about 2 no-brainer. We're not going to debate about it. They're the best 10 players in the draft class, quarterback prospects, in the same vein as Drake May, Caleb Williams, and Jaden Daniels in 2020. Was that 2024? 2024. Yeah, we'll just go with 2024. Y'all correct me. I think the 2026 class will be looking by December and saying, oh my God, Cade Klubnik, top 5 pick, or oh my God, oh my God, Francisco Mendoza, he's a number 1 overall pick, no doubt about it, right? Or Lenore Sellers. I'm not saying that these guys are guaranteed. Drew Aller, you could throw Drew Aller's name, any name you want to throw in there. It's not really me predicting who those 2 quarterbacks are going to be. I just look at this landscape, I look at the draft class, and I think it's going to be a quarterback-dominated draft class. And I think we'll know pretty clearly by the start of December that there's going to be a prize in the top 5 at the quarterback position for a team that needs a quarterback. And I think that's going to greatly switch up the dynamics of how the fan base is going to behave about it, because I don't think by December the Browns season is going to be close to over. I think they'll be like at a weird tipping point to where things go the right way, they could make a run for the playoffs. If things don't go the right way, they could make a run for the top 5. I think we're going to be at one of those tipping points in December. And I think how the 2026 class looks is going to play a great role, because it's not going to be like last year where we're debating whether these guys are worthy of the number 2 overall pick. It's going to be whether the Browns should do what's necessary to get one of those picks, to get one of those quarterbacks. Yes, the Browns have that extra pick, but it might be a situation where Jacksonville's decent, you're decent. If you get like the 16th pick in the draft and Jacksonville gets the 18th, that's not necessarily going to be enough to get the number 2 overall pick in a year that there's a quarterback, right? So we're really going to have a lot of conversations about that, and I think that's going to be a big storyline. If I'm a Browns fan this year, I think it's worthwhile to spend a good amount of time on Saturdays if you can, or at least on if you got the DVR or YouTube TV DVR or something like that. Find a way to watch as many of the top quarterbacks in that 2026 class as possible on Saturdays, because that's going to really be a big storyline for the Cleveland Browns throughout the season, is what you think about those quarterbacks and what you think the Browns should do, and also what the Browns thinks about those quarterbacks compared to what they have on the roster and how that changes what they might want to do. But those are my oddball predictions, or me predicting how y'all gonna get on my nerves this year. I'm just kidding. It's a privilege to do this job. But this is me predicting things, storylines that might happen, some of the minor stuff, prop bet like storylines. You let me know in the comment section. I think this is going to be real fun, because as much experience as I have with Browns and the Browns fan base, y'all have a lot of it too. So in the comment section down below, let me know how Browns fans will piss you off this year. Like, what thing will Browns fans do that will piss you off this year? Let me know in the comment section down below. Y'all have a great day. Have an even better night. Peace.